I'm Pastor Matt, and this is the Ember Exchange. So whether we're talking about something from our church, something from the Bible, or interviewing a guest, we will do it unrushed, one puff at a time. The same is the best way to enjoy a cigar. Today I want to tell you a story about a man who was fishing. And he was on the boat, he had a partner with him, and his partner was catching these fish, and he kept throwing the big ones back. You know, he'd catch a small fish and he would put it in the cooler of the live well, and he would catch a big fish and he would throw it back. And so finally the partner he's fishing with, he gets so frustrated watching him throw these big fish back. And he says, "Hey man, what is wrong with you? Why are you keeping the little fish? Why are you throwing the big fish back?" And he said, "Well, that's easy. I've only got a 9-inch frying pan at the house." All right, so that's a silly story, but that kind of led me to think about the limitations that we put on ourselves. I mean, in that story, this guy's got a 9-inch frying pan, so he's only keeping 9-inch fish. And, what do we do? It's so often that in our own lives, we limit what we're even willing to accept or willing to try for, or willing to strive for, because at some level we think we're not good enough, maybe, or we think that we're not qualified, maybe. I think even in the business world, they call that imposter syndrome. We don't feel like we belong, so we don't even try. And that led me to a couple of verses from the Bible I wanted to share. And in Psalm 78, talking about the children of Israel, it said that they turned back and tempted God and limited the Holy One of Israel. And the lesson there is that we, by our behaviors, by our actions, by our thoughts, by our attitudes, we can limit what God can do in our lives. And in Proverbs 23, it teaches us, and I think this is maybe even a verse we may have talked about before here on the Ember Exchange, is that as we think in our hearts, so are we. And if we think we aren't capable of something, we're not. If we think we're not worthy of something, we're not. If we think we're not deserving of something, we're not. Not that we're not capable, not that we're not deserving, but we just don't think we are. And so we've limited it. We've brought a small frying pan. And, so what the question becomes, what are the limits that we've placed on ourselves? How do we define ourselves? How do we see ourselves? And how does that limit what we're capable of? And what behaviors do we have in our lives? What attitudes do we have in our lives that limit God and limit what God can do in our lives? And so I'll close with this question. How big is your frying pan? Until next time, keep your fire burning, keep your cigar lit, and make sure to send us your burning questions.